This passbook is trash. Trash belongs with trash. My father said it into the microphone, his voice amplified and cheerful, like he was making a toast. He held up the small, yellowed passbook my grandfather had just pressed into my hand momentarily. The cover was thin, the corners rounded soft with age. It looked fragile under the ballroom lights. People leaned forward, curious, expectant. Your grandfather was always sentimental, my father continued, smiling for the cameras. But sentiment doesn't pay bills. Before I could move, he dropped it, straight into the silver ice bucket between the champagne bottles. Ice cracked, liquid splashed. The book disappeared beneath floating labels and melting cubes. The room laughed. Not uncomfortable laughter, real laughter, the kind that lands because it's safe to join in. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I stepped forward, knelt down, and plunged my hand into the freezing water. The cold cut instantly. Champagne soaked my sleeve. I scraped my skin. I pulled the passbook out, dripping and swollen, the pages already warping. Someone near the front whispered, "She's ruining her dress." My wedding dress darkened where the water ran. Silk heavy, stained, useless now. My father shook his head into the microphone. "See," he said, "trash." I pressed the book to my chest and walked out. No one stopped me. No one followed. 3 days later, I stood in the lobby of the First National Bank. Marble floors, low voices, a quiet that felt expensive. I wore a coat I'd owned for years and shoes that had never seen a ballroom. The passbook was sealed in a clear plastic bag, the pages still rippled and faintly smelling of alcohol. I waited until the teller finished typing. "I need to check the balance on this," I said. It was my grandfather's. She picked it up with 2 fingers, typed the number, paused. Her posture changed. She leaned closer to the screen, blinked once, then again. She said quietly. "Please wait here. Do not leave." She stood and walked quickly through a door behind the counter. I stayed. A man in a suit appeared. Then another. The branch manager. The regional director. Their expressions were careful, measured. "Miss," the director said, "if you'll come with us." They led me into a private room. Thick walls, heavy table. The door shut softly behind us. As they retrieved the file, I closed my eyes. I was 12 again, kneeling on hardwood floors, scrubbing a spill I hadn't caused. My father watched from his chair. My brother laughed from the couch. My grandfather stood in the doorway, silent, afraid to help. "Don't interfere," my father had said. "You've done enough." The lock clicked. The director placed the folder in front of me. "Your grandfather opened this account in 1983, he said. "He reinvested everything. Never withdrew a cent." He slid 1 page forward. "The balance is $11,860,000. The number sat there, plain, undeniable. "Is anyone else on the account?" I asked. "No," he said. "It's yours." I nodded. I didn't smile. My father called that night. He didn't apologize. "I've been thinking about that little book," he said. "You don't understand these things. Let me handle it." I declined. The calls escalated. Then the letters. Then the threats wrapped in legal language. He wasn't angry. He was scared. My husband read the documents quietly at our kitchen table. "He's insolvent," he said finally. Loans stacked on loans. He needs liquidity. That's when I understood. The passbook wasn't just money. It was leverage. The gala invitation arrived a week later. Man of the Year. My father's name embossed in gold. He called the next morning. Bring the paperwork, he said. We'll sign everything properly. Quietly. I agreed. The ballroom glittered. Crystal chandeliers. Political smiles. Old money breathing shallowly. I wore red. My father barely glanced at me before taking the folder from my hands. He flipped to the signature page and signed without reading. He stepped onto the stage moments later. Tonight, he announced, we celebrate expansion. Behind him, the screen flickered. The Department of Justice seal replaced his foundation logo. Federal asset seizure in progress. The room went silent. Agents moved fast. My father looked at me once as the cuffs closed. I didn't look away. That was 3 weeks ago. This morning, I'm sitting on my grandfather's porch. The ocean steady. The air clean. The passbook rests on the table beside me. Dry now. Quiet. It was never trash. It was proof. And some things, once uncovered, never need to be hidden again. The passbook stayed on the table long after the agents left the ballroom. I watched servers move again. Watched people whisper behind raised hands. Watched the chandeliers keep shining like nothing had happened. Institutions collapse quietly. It's the spectators who make noise. I left before the questions started. Outside, the night air felt thinner, cleaner, like a room after something rotten has finally been taken out. My phone buzzed once. Unknown number. I didn't answer. The first thing people assume about money is that it changes your life overnight. It doesn't. Not real money. Not the kind that arrives without spectacle. It changes urgency. That's all. The panic disappears. The scrambling stops. Everything else stays the same. The morning after the gala, I still went to Wyke. The ER smelled like antiseptic and coffee that had been reheated too many times. A man came in with chest pain. A woman cried quietly behind a curtain. Blood still needed to be cleaned. Fours still needed to be started. No one knew who I was. That was the point. During my lunch break, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was my mother. I let it ring. She left a voicemail. Her voice was tight, controlled, the way it always was when she wanted something without asking directly. You need to call your father, she said. This has gone too far. I deleted it. By noon, the news alerts started hitting everyone else's phones. Not headlines. Not yet. Just industry chatter. Frozen accounts. Subpoenas. Quiet exits from boards. By evening, my brother called. He didn't yell. That told me everything. You didn't have to do this, he said. I didn't, I replied. You humiliated him. He did that himself. Silence. You think you won, he said finally. I think I'm done, I said. He hung up. 2 days later, the lawyer my father had sent weeks earlier requested a meeting. I declined. Instead, my attorney sent a single document back. No further contact. That was when the tone changed. Fear makes people sloppy. The first mistake my father made was trying to move money that was already frozen. The second was lying about it in writing. The third was assuming that because I had been quiet my entire life, I didn't know how systems worked. He had taught me endurance. My grandfather had taught me patience. Between the two, I learned timing. The house in Newport went first. For years, it had been the symbol, the proof, the place where deals were whispered over wine and certainty. Now it was just an address in foreclosure proceedings. I drove past it once. I didn't stop. The gates were open, the lawn overgrown. A for sale sign leaned slightly to the left, like it had lost confidence. That night, I took the passbook out again. The pages were brittle now, fragile. It amazed me how something that survived decades untouched almost didn't survive 10 seconds in a bucket of ice. I wondered if my grandfather knew, if he had imagined that moment. The public humiliation, the arrogance, the dismissal. Maybe that was why he never said anything. He didn't need to. The formal charges came down quietly. Tax evasion, wire fraud, misrepresentation. No dramatics, no press conference, just documents. My father's name printed in clean, impersonal font. I read them once. Then I closed the file. I wasn't interested in watching him fall. Gravity handles that on its own. My mother showed up at my apartment unannounced. She looked smaller without the house, without the staff, without the audience. "You could fix this," she said. I poured her coffee, black, the way she liked it. "I won't," I replied. "He's your father." "And I was his daughter," I said. She looked around the room, at the simple furniture, the quiet. "You think you're above us now?" "No," I said. "I'm beyond you." She left without finishing her coffee. The trust transfer finalized 2 weeks later. The bank manager called personally. "Everything is in order," he said. "You're secure." I thanked him and went back to folding laundry. That's another thing people get wrong. Security doesn't announce itself. It settles. The letter from my brother arrived last. No threats, no demands, just one sentence. "You didn't have to destroy him." I wrote back. I didn't. I stopped saving him. I didn't hear from him again. This morning, the ocean is calm. The cottage roof no longer leaks. The ivy is gone. The windows open properly now. Small fixes, honest ones. I sit on the porch with a mug of coffee and the passbook beside me. It's empty now. Not because the money is gone, because it no longer needs to exist. The numbers live elsewhere, digitized, protected, boring. This book was never about money. It was about seeing me, about someone understanding exactly who my father was and planning accordingly. I still work at the hospital. I still wear sensible shoes. I still clean blood off floors. But I don't flinch anymore. Not at raised voices. Not at authority. Not at laughter. Because once, someone tried to throw my future away in front of a room full of people. And all they managed to do was prove they never understood its value.